After you've selected your two photos you're going to use for the vignette project, you have to decide on the ratio of the selection. For this flower image, I'm going to use a circle because it matches my subject. If I was using this dog image, I'm going to look for a landscape format, and in this case this is a 5x7, so we want to use an actual photo size, and this would be a 5x7 portrait if I'm going to use that one. In this first video, I'm going to show you how to create a vignette with a transparent or basic white background. So I'm going to deselect this to start with, and I'm going to select my elliptical marquee tool. If you're in rectangular, you just right click on elliptical, and I'm going to set this from normal to fixed ratio, and then I'll type in 1:1 to get a circle. I'm going to click and hold my left mouse button down to get the selected area that I want around the flower. Notice that it's not quite centered, so I'm going to use my up, down, left, right arrow keys on the keyboard to push that around until it looks nice and centered on my flower. And that looks pretty good. So at this point I'm ready to use the select and mask tool. This comes up once you do your selection, so you're going to go ahead and click on this. By default, Photoshop's going to have your transparency set to around 20%, so you're going to see some of the background, which is fine. If you want to see exactly what it's going to look like, you'll want to bump that transparency all the way up to 100%. So this has a hard edge, and in the vignette we're looking to feather that out, so I'm going to push my feather pixels until I start to see a nice feather along the outside edge. Don't go too far that you're feathering into your object. You can also shift the edge, so if the feather is feathering too close to your object here, I can shift the edge so that I can grow that to the outside of my selected area. You want to watch how close your selection is to the edge of your document. If I shift the edge too far, I might get a little flat spot on the top or the sides of my vignette if it's close to the edge of the document. So after you're happy with that, so you've bumped the feather, you've changed the shift edge to what you want to see, you have to decide what you want to output to, and you may need to open up this output settings selection. If you just choose selection, it's just going to go back to the photo with a feathered selection. You can create a new layer from that. You do have the option of creating a new document, which is what I'm going to choose here. So new document, and I'm going to hit OK. So if you look up top right now, I have this picture is called Balance 10. I have dog sample, and I have image 0059 opened up. So I'm going to hit OK here. Now this is called Untitled 2, so this created I have 4 documents open now. This is my new document that was just created. Now I've got a lot of extra space around the outside of my vignette right now, so I'm going to go over in the Layers panel. This is your layer thumbnail, this small little image. I'm going to hold the Control button down, and I'm going to click on that layer thumbnail. If you look around the outside edge, it just selected all the pixels on my image. And now I'm just going to go to simply image and crop, and it's going to crop that down just around the edge. I can do Control D now to deselect, and this image is finished. This looks pretty good as far as levels, but if you wanted to at this point, you could go into image adjustments and maybe do curves or levels and give that a little bit of a tweak. But this image has already been enhanced, so it looks pretty nice. But you may find you need to do that on your image. This is ready then to save. So we're going to do save as, and I'm going to select a JPEG. There's only one layer here, so there's no point in doing Photoshop document. Pay attention to where you're saving. So I'm going to title this here. So this is my vignette with a clear background. And I'll just hit OK on that.